Hey guys, today we are looking at the USS Kelvin model kit made by Moebius Models. Now, this is a kit I said I would not buy because when I went to the hobby store, it was $70, which I feel was far too expensive for this kit. I did actually find it for about $44 online at Amazon.com. And at $44, I thought it was a great deal. If you really like the Kelvin, you might just have to grab it kind of regardless of what price you find it at, because it's no longer being made. Moebius did not renew their license for the new Star Trek movies. So there will be no more Kelvin kits. So if you want it, make sure to grab it now. I have a feeling that in a few years, we'll find it on eBay for $100 to $150. I don't like it that much, but I like it $40 to $50 worth. So I decided to pick it up and let's take a look. So the box is absolutely gorgeous. A beautiful artistic rendition of the Kelvin on the top of the box. And this is not a picture of the model. This is just an artistic render. Along the side, we get the same picture of the ship, this time against the star field. And on the back, we get some pictures of the model this time, because you can tell it's the model because it has the detail over on this side. So this is a pretty interesting model kit. Let's start with the decals, because there's not much to them. You just get the name and the registry, a couple other little detail parts there. You can tell there's a little bit of red around these letters. They give you two sets. So if you want a really clean USS Kelvin, they say to use this set. If you want one that's a little bit worn and weathered, they have this set of decals across the top. But a very simple decal sheet. Moebius has always had really nice instruction sheets on their Battlestar Galactica kits. On the show Battlestar Galactica, whenever people had papers, they had the corners cut and clipped, so they weren't squares, they were more octagons. And Moebius did that on their instruction sheets as well, to kind of tie it into in-universe. But these are really nice, you know, full color instructions, great descriptions. They obviously really put a lot of time and attention into these instructions. Probably one of the best sets of Star Trek model kit instructions that I've seen. This is a very cool model kit with some weird choices. The first kind of weird choice they made is the stand, which instead of it being a rectangle, they've slanted. So it's not square, it's tilted like it's a parallelogram. And I just don't quite know why they did that. Yeah, you know, I'm not even sure if this side is really parallel to that one. You know, it's done up like a starship plaque. So I don't know why they didn't leave it square like a plaque should be. You get kind of this weird kind of at an angle sort of thing going on. So that's the first weird choice. That's not a big deal. I probably will skip the stand because of that and figure out something else for it. The next weird choice is the saucer. So this is your lower saucer, really standard Star Trek saucer. Grid lines, phaser bumps, a sensor dome. But then you get the top saucer and you get little bits of detail put all the way across, but it's different from one side to the other. So different from the bottom, you get little bits of detail all the way across. But then on this one quadrant, you get a lot of kind of oddly raised panels. Now, when they do their artistic rendition of the Kelvin, they do it without any of those textures. You don't have those raised panels over on this quadrant. So part of them knows that's not the way it was in the movie. When they show you the completed model, all those little bumps are there. And as I said in my last video, that really was something that was going to keep me from doing the Kelvin until I saw a rendition of the Kelvin being done that was just absolutely fantastic and turned these panels into what they should be, repair panels, and really made the model make sense to me. So that's what I'm going to try and replicate on my build. But still, that is a really weird choice for the model makers to have included. We have some really nice clear parts. So you get a clear part for the rear impulse engine. You get a clear deflector dish. So that should be really nice to light up. And behind the deflector dish, you'll have a clear part behind it so you can shine light through the entire thing. You get 3 pieces to make the clear part for the Bussard collector. You get clear strips that go along the back of the engine, and you get a rear grille for the engine. Also looks like a clear shuttle bay door, and this provides clear windows under the bridge. So there are lots of things here that are going to be really easy to light up. It's going to be easy to light that back engine. It's going to be really easy and nice to light the deflector dish. The impulse engines are going to light up really well. These strips going across the back. These bridge lights have a clear part, so that should work well. The one thing they don't have a picture here is the Bussard collector, which would be on the front of the engine underneath the ship. No picture of that, but that would be easy to light up as well. So here are the parts that will make up the hull on top of the ship. You can see lots of nice detail there, lots of grid lines, lots of molded in windows. This is the neck that connects it to the ship. You also get a few detail parts to cover up seams. So this should be just, I believe, the back of the neck and the front of the neck. Here are the 2 parts that provide the engine and the neck to the engine. Once again, lots of molded in windows, lots of grid lines, lots of detail here. It's going to look great. Now, the sides of the saucer on this kit are all done as separate pieces. Lots of great detail there. Lots of hatches, lots of windows. You get the sensor bands molded in all the way across. A few more detail parts here, including the base for the stand. And finally, you get lots of little parts. These will be the parts that fit in where those raised weapons platforms are on the Kelvin. So this is going to be a really gorgeous ship once it's completely painted and detailed. You know, I'm not going to do white, of course. I'm going to do a light gray on all of this. We're going to accent a lot of these panel lines. We'll do a little bit of weathering. The one thing that I'm not sure about is actually lighting this ship. This ship is actually one that looks fairly hard to light. The first thing you'll see is on the inside, they've put a lot of braces across the hull sections. You'll have to kind of cut those out if you want a lot of room inside to really reflect those lights. If you're just lighting the clear parts, you can just mount an LED right here pointing out front, mount an LED right here pointing towards the back, and light those clear parts pretty well. But lighting the windows is going to be hard. You're going to have to cut out a lot of those braces. Here's the main hull, and once again, you can see lots of really nicely molded in windows. But once again, the back has a lot of those braces put in, which will block a lot of your light. Now, that's not too bad. It won't be too hard to cut out those braces and glue the ship together without them. What looks really hard is lighting the neck. You can see lots of windows along that neck. And when you start drilling those, you're going to be drilling in to those thick sections on the back of it. Yeah, your drill is going to drill right into that big, thick piece of plastic. It wouldn't be too bad to get an LED, like a 3mm here, pointed up. But drilling those holes and getting lots of room in there for them to be lit up is going to be pretty hard. The next thing that's going to make it fairly hard to light is, once again, you see all the same braces in the saucer. So you won't really be able to just do what I usually do, which is put in LEDs and let the entire thing light up and use a lot of white paint to reflect the light throughout the entire saucer. the easier way to go might be to drill in a 3mm LED here along this brace and let it point out. But definitely a lot more work will have to be put in it. The next thing that's going to make it real hard is the plastic is fairly thick, and when you glue the saucer together, it's going to look like this. There's not much room in there to get light through. I mean, you can kind of see there how the light is very hard to get in from one side to the other. You'd have to have really bright lights and really aimed perfectly to get them to go through. And the next thing that's going to make it really hard is the saucer sections have a piece of plastic that really takes up the entire space inside. All right, let me see if I can get this in focus. So you can see that saucer edge really fills the entire gap inside the saucer. So you really have the top saucer plastic, the fin from the inside of the saucer edge right to the thick plastic from the bottom of the saucer, really making it a solid piece. So when you look at the windows on that saucer section, if you drill those out, those are slightly above the fin that goes inside the plastic. So you can drill those through, and that top saucer section plastic is going to be behind those windows anyways. On some of the saucers windows, they're a little bit lower, which means they're going to be right up against that fin, and some are a little bit lower, which means they're going to be up against the bottom plastic of the saucer. So really, if you have managed to light this Kelvin, hats off to you. This looks like a real bear to light. Fiber optics are probably the way to go, so you don't have to worry about getting light through those narrow edges. But still a very difficult ship to get those saucer windows to light and look good. I've seen people do it. I've seen people light the neck. I'm honestly not sure if I want to put the time and effort into that. I think this kit might be more fun to do unlit, just build it, paint it, weather it. I think it'll look great that way, especially kind of adding the damage around these repair panels. But I'm really not sure I want to try and squeeze light through these tiny sections, especially when they've given you a plastic part that's going to take up the small bit of room that they gave you. I'm much happier having this model in hand than I thought I would be. You know, the box for the Kelvin says it's about 11 inches long, which is a lot like this little refit Enterprise, which is a $25 kit. So paying $50 for something that size really doesn't sit with me. But, you know, once you have this in hand, it is so much more substantial than the refit. Now they're the same length. Really, yeah, once you mount that together, that is 11 inches. That is really the same length as the refit Enterprise, but it has so much more heft. You know, it really is much more in line with the Discovery Enterprise. The saucers, the Kelvin's a little bit smaller, but very similar. And then the nacelle really has about the same heft as the nacelle for the Discovery Enterprise. So really just absolutely dwarfing the heft of the refit Enterprise. So definitely having it in hand, feel the value a bit more. Now the engineering section of the Kelvin and the refit, it's a lot closer to the refit. So much smaller part there. But overall, you know, I really do feel it is probably closer to the Discovery in overall size and heft and overall impression on the shelf than it is to the refit. So I'm feeling better about kind of the cost now that I actually have it in hand. And especially after seeing really the wonderful detail in the kit and just kind of imagining how that's going to look with kind of a gray color and those panel lines accented. I think it's going to be a fun build. Once again, I'm torn on whether or not I'm going to light it. I think if I light it, I would want to do the windows, and I just don't see the windows working out well on this kit. Okay, so this is not going to be a fast build like a lot of my previews where I'm trying to get them done before something actually hits the shelves in hobby shops. This is going to be a slow build. It's really going to depend a lot on whether or not I decide to light any parts of it and how fast it'll go. But over the next couple of weeks, we will have a handful of videos about building the Kelvin. Also coming up will be my next build of the Discovery Enterprise, where we're going to do painting masks and third-party parts. I had really hoped to get the first video about that build up, but getting some of those third-party parts are hard. You know, you order them, and it's not like ordering them from a hobby shop or Amazon. It takes quite a while for those to be made and to be sent out. So I have some parts that I had hoped would be here, but they're taking a little bit longer than I expected. But hopefully in the next couple weeks, we'll get to do a few videos on the add-on parts for the Discovery Enterprise. Well, that's about it for my initial thoughts on the USS Kelvin. I think it'll be a fun build to get going on, and we'll have those videos coming up over the next couple weeks. Thank you guys for following the channel. Thank you for watching the videos, and we'll be back soon.